I just watched the first episode of Welcome to Derry, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's absolutely amazing. Well, it's the first episode so far, but dude, that was such a peak pilot. Oh my god. Actual chef's kiss. I think horror might have actually made a proper return. I think horror is kind of back right now. And I'm all for it. Before I get into it, I'm gonna just let you know right now, spoilers. I'll go off the top of my head. I just watched it a couple hours ago. Yeah, let's get into it. So the story starts off with a young boy, as it is. They're kind of doing an it thing, formula-wise. So the episode starts off with a young boy named Maddie, and Maddie is at the movie theaters. He's watching a movie. The movie's playing a song. That's all I'm gonna say about the movie because that's pretty much the main significant thing. I'm sure. It's basically like a River City anthem. It's like the Trouble something River City anthem. So the movie starts with this young boy named Maddie. He's ran away and he's watching a movie, and then one of the employees notices that the kid is there. He's like, "Hey, come here!" And the kid runs off, and he tries to chase him. And this young girl, she sees him, and he thinks he's gonna snitch on her, but he directs the employee somewhere else. So Maddie gets away. So Maddie ends up leaving the theater and finds his way at the highway. And here he hitchhikes. A family picks him up. At first, it's kind of a very mellow, somber ride. And then they kind of start having a conversation. The daughter of the family, she starts like digging in some liver and putting it in Maddie's face. From there, things just start to get gradually worse to the point where the mother is just straight up shooting a fucking baby out of her pussy. Like, no sugarcoating it. She's shooting a baby out of her pussy within like the first 5 minutes of the show. And dude, it's so peak. It's like once she starts like having the baby and shit, because like the kids start acting weird, and like he's like, "Oh, you can pull over," and he realizes that he sees the "Welcome to Derry" sign for the second time, and that's when they just start getting weirder and weirder, and they start saying like "OUT out" because he wants to get out of the car, and then shoots a baby out of her fucking pussy, and they start looking at the baby, and then Maddie is so curious as to what the fuck just happened. He's like, "All right, I gotta see this shit." So he starts looking at it. She tries to pick the baby up. Baby starts flying throughout the whole fucking the car. Once Pennywise stops having fun because Maddie puts his baby bit back in and he cuffs his ears. He's like, "Oh, you're not paying attention anymore," and that's when he just obliterates Maddie with the fucking baby. He just fucking murks Maddie. And so that's kind of where the story it sets up the rest of the episode. My question is, I don't want to forget this question, is Maddie ends up going missing. I'm not sure if the episode mentioned anything about the family, whether or not Pennywise just copied a family that was just going, if he just fabricated the family as a whole, or if he's like shape-shifting as someone else he saw. I don't know if they ever addressed that. Honestly, that's the only thing I can really think about the episode. I wouldn't really call it a plot point because I don't know if it's important, but I do have that question. Anyway, from there we start to get introduced to some characters. Three of Maddie's friends start going through some turmoil. One of them was at a mental asylum because her father fell into from what I might have misinterpreted this, he fell into some gears and his body ended up being like spread throughout Derry in pickle jars. And so she goes back to school and someone has pickle jars in her locker, and at first it doesn't seem like, she's like, "Oh, now I smell like pickles." And, me and my friends were joking about like, "Oh, well, now you got something to eat." But that's kind of why that moment is significant, is because her dad was literally stuffed in pickle jars and spread throughout the fucking city. So, she's one of those characters that is kind of an outcast, kind of gets bullied. And I think that's what she related to the character Maddie with, because they kind of had a thing. And because she went to like a mental hospital for, I don't quite remember what exactly. It might have been that specific event, or maybe Pennywise had his claws in her deeper or sooner than everyone else. As far as we're concerned, she had a relationship with Maddie, and I believe that was pre-mental asylum, but I'm not quite sure because it seems like she's like coming back to school. But from there, we meet Maddie's two other friends. One stoic kid, he gets bullied, but he's stoic, so it doesn't matter. And he's been messed up. The other kid is kind of funny, and he's been messed up kind of on the inside. And so he mentions to his other buddy, and he's like, "Hey, we haven't talked about Maddie since he died." And the other kid, he's like, "There's no point talking about it because talking about it won't lead to anything." That's kind of like a summary, but dude, that conversation that they had is like, that was like that was some good fucking writing, because but they both had a point. Like, you know, they both ultimately were right about what they like. It was a clash of how they're grieving, essentially. One is ignoring it, and one has been dwelling on it. After that, Matt's kind of love interest character, she tracks down his friends because of the one time he brought her to the hangout spot, and she's like, I want to talk to you. And the reason why is because just before, she had heard Maddie's voice and a song coming through the pipe, and she saw fingers coming up. And that's when she kind of got the guys. She wanted to go investigate. She wanted to go track them down and ask questions. From there, they ended up going to the library to look into his disappearance. They start looking over a newspaper, and in that newspaper, they find out that the last person to see her was some girl. That girl at the beginning of the episode, who I think her dad runs a movie theater. I could be wrong about that. I don't remember if she was just there or they like owned the movie theater. But essentially, like, she tells them, fuck off. Like, they go track her down. She tells them, fuck off. You guys have been bothering, the cops have been, the media have been bothering me and my dad, blah, blah, blah. And then they're like, okay, screw this. We knew it wasn't going to work. Trying to track somebody down over a song was ridiculous. And that has her like, okay, wait a minute. What did you just say? And that gets her in the conversation. And then she's like, okay, let's go watch that movie. Or I suppose it wasn't a movie. It was a music video on something called The Music Man because of the song that she heard through the pipes. And once, you know, they mentioned that to her, she's like, okay, I heard something through the pipes too. I heard that song. I heard kids and people crying. I don't know if it was Maddie. So they went to go play the fucking music video. And from there, things just go off the rails. They start seeing Maddie in the literal movie. That's when Pennywise, you know, finally made his presence. And honestly, 5-10 kids in a room, that's like, you know, that's his jam. He loved that. So they start calling out to Maddie. And from there, like, the music video background starts falling back, and it's just Maddie in the frame. You know, he kind of starts he starts Pennywise-ifying. You know, he starts getting the smile, and he throws the baby in his hands out of sight of the movie. And then that's when the baby from the beginning starts mutating, gets bigger, and he starts like freaking out. He just starts attacking them, and he just absolutely obliterates these kids. He fucking tears them up. And it was like, oh my god, hell fucking yes. It was so fucking peak, man, because I just sat there getting really positively attached to these characters. I was like, okay, they did such a good job with this episode, guys. I'm telling you. Pretty much everyone dies except the black girl and the I forgot her. Honestly, I don't remember their names. But the girl who was at the mental asylum. So I suppose that the rest of the series will probably be following them. Maybe they'll die and pass the story on to someone else. Who knows? Meanwhile, this is happening. There's a B plot. So the B plot introduces this Air Force kind of character. Or not kind of character. It introduces Air Force Sergeant. And it is a 60s, so they show prejudice against him. It's not too much, it's not too in your face, but it is kind of there subtly with a few characters. I don't know too much of what was going on. It does seem like it was really character-oriented, so they're kind of building up his character. But eventually, some people in masks, they come and they want to get information out of him regarding the plane that he's supposed to fly, a B-52. They want the specs on the B-52. What that'll amount to, I'm not exactly sure right now, but I do imagine maybe you guys can speculate better. I'm just not knowledgeable on Air Force shit. Maybe it's like the CIA, maybe it's like some Russian spies. I really just don't know personally. So maybe you guys could theorize what's going on there. But what I was thinking is maybe like this is like prime Pennywise, dude. He's like off the rails. Like this is off the rails Pennywise. He's not like he's having fun. It seems like the fun is kind of new to him though. You know, like this is Pennywise having kind of like a new kind of fun. So because it's a prequel, so it's like prime Pennywise and his prequel shit. So what I'm just straight up thinking, Pennywise might just attract the attention of the military in a way, or maybe the Air Force somehow. Maybe somehow he just gets a bit too hot and he's got to like reel it back in because he realizes he can't like infinitely farm kids. Maybe he'll torture the entirety of Derry, you know. But since it's canon, they never mention these events, or maybe they do in the movies. But as far as we're concerned, I don't think the military knows about Pennywise, but maybe they kind of do, and they kind of like sweep certain things on the rug, and like that's why it's always attributed to like a missing kid. Maybe they kind of just let Pennywise cook because it only happens every so often. Maybe he's a savior later on to one of the kids, but right now I don't know. I can't really foresee the purpose of the Air Force character right now, but I'm sure it will pay off. But other than that, dude, I thought this episode was absolutely amazing. I thought they had some really, really good build-up, some really good discussions. It was just really good horror too. I didn't even mention that part. The horror, it was really good. Like the beginning, it gets you really hooked in, puts the character in a scenario in which he cannot escape, makes him powerless, makes him really feel powerless, and it just gives you the most bizarre true to Stephen King shit ever. And I think they just did such a good fucking job with that shit, man. And dude, I can't wait for the next episode. I'm really looking forward to it. I think when that episode comes up, I'm gonna make another video. And let me know what you think about this episode, guys. I'm in. I'm so in. I was so happy with this episode. Welcome to Derry. Welcome to the next episode. I really look forward to seeing another episode. If you made it this far into the video, I appreciate you. That's pretty much all I had to say. Peace.